What's up, YouTube? How's everybody doing today? We are back here. This is Papa Bear Francis here with the Bear family, coming back to you guys for another quick video introduction into OBS Studio. That's right, this software right here, ladies and gentlemen. So first and foremost, if you guys saw the last video, I can tell that is why, of course, you were here. You guys decided you want to bring your content to life and share what you do and the fun you create with everyone else. You're in the right spot here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and let's dive into it. We're going to take a quick peek into the software, get all of our basics down so we are ready to go when we want to share our creativity with the world. First off, ladies and gentlemen, if you do not have the software, make sure you do get it. OBS Studio is an open broadcast software. It is 100% free, works on both Windows and Mac, and of course, obviously Linux if you're using that, but most people are going to be a Windows and Mac user. Now, with this software, ladies and gentlemen, you simply would download it for the particular operating system you're using. Once you do so, it's going to start off doing everything you need as far as testing your bandwidth, as far as what setting you should be using for that. It will test what setting you should be streaming at, as far as whether you should broadcast a 1080p signal or even, for instance, a 720p if your computer cannot handle it. Now, to start with, you end up with this amazing blank screen. You end up with this section over here for your scenes, this section for your sources, and here's your audio mixer. Now, it might look daunting to start with, but it is very easy, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why we're going to dive into this, to make sure you guys have that generalized summary of what to do next. So, the scenes are basically your folder for each section that you create. For instance, we have this particular scene, which it automatically creates for us. We can right click, we can rename, we can call this starting screen, because that is going to be the very first one that we're on. We can right click and add another one, and we can call that one the live screen, if you will, just so that you have for your own safekeepings. And we can add even another one and call it the ending screen. We could even call it a BRB screen in case you plan on having a be right back section. Now that we have our scenes or folders, for instance, created, the next step, of course, is adding activity to those. So we're going to look at the live scene to start off with, because obviously the whole idea about this is to bring your content to the world. So first thing over here in the sources section, as of course it specifies, you do not have any sources. Click the plus button below or right click to add one. So essentially, once you right click and go to add, you have a very decent list in regards to things to add. You have your audio capture, audio output capture, you have boom replay, browser, color source, display capture, game capture, image slideshow, media source, scene, text, video capture, Windows capture. Now, you also have the option for group, which we will dive into that more, of course, in our advanced video that will be coming out shortly. Now, going back to these, the first and foremost is picture. You want people to see what you're seeing. In most cases, people will use display capture. If you are one that is actually creating content based off of gaming, I would definitely recommend using game capture, simply because when you use game capture over display capture, you're choosing one specific window, and no matter what you alt tab into, especially if you're using a one PC setup for streaming, you are only displaying the game and nobody sees anything else on your computer. Plus, with game capture, you get more FPS, and for those of you that are going to be broadcasting from first-person shooters, frames matter, ladies and gentlemen. Frames do indeed matter. For this tutorial, though, we're going to go ahead and use display capture, and we're going to select OK, and we have this amazing inception going on right now. All right, so it will give you the option to choose either one of these displays. In this case, of course, we're just going to stick with this one for the heck of it. So we're going to go ahead and add it. As you can see, my mouse cursor goes on and on and on and on and on. Now, with having the display capture added, that is one thing. Next up, of course, you're going to want to make sure that you add in your audio input. The audio input capture, of course, is your microphone, ladies and gentlemen. So you will have to go in here. You're going to definitely be creating new because you don't have one. You want to make sure that you name it. So for instance, making things simple, you can name it mic. And then you can go to add. Then it's going to give you a list of options that you have available so that you can go ahead and actually have them included. So for here, we're going to select a different mic than what we're obviously using so that we can see that audio tracker right down there at the bottom in the mixer is capturing the mic. That's perfect. All right. So as of right now, just with these two specific options, we have our picture, we have our audio. We're basically ready to go from there to start broadcasting to the world. Now, there are alternative options to add additional sources into your stream, like for instance a browser source, or even for instance images, image slideshows, and media sources. Now, these options we will divulge a little bit more into in our advanced settings, because these are going to be adding in, for instance, overlays, or even for instance shoutouts commands, depending upon how interactive you wish for your content to be for your community, for those that you're bringing your imagination forth to. There's a lot of great options here. All right, so now that we have the microphone option added here, ladies and gentlemen, and the display capture, we do of course need to make sure we add an additional source. From here, we're going to go ahead and go to audio output capture. We're going to add desktop, just so that obviously you know. Now with the audio output, it's going to have you select the speaker. Now, depending upon which audio options, obviously as you can see for myself, I have a ton. Now with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and choose the main one, which for myself, I use the headset for the SteelSeries Arctis Pro. Now with that, it is now going to be capturing audio, and it is going to be capturing the mic. So basically we are getting both of them fully connected. It is fantastically easy, and it is now ready to go. The next step is going to be, depending upon where you're deciding to share that content, whether you wish to just record or you wish to stream, there's some basics that we want to touch on in that category. So to start off with, we're going to go to the settings. In the settings, we're going to go to stream. Now here you can see I already have OBS connected to my Twitch, henceforth why it has the stream key completely covered. However, you would select the streaming services that you're going to be using, whether it be Twitch, YouTube, Rip Mixer, Facebook Live, Restream.io, Periscope. There is a lot of options, including custom if you make your own. Now, this option here in the settings is specifically for bringing your broadcast to life on a streaming platform for a viewing audience. Now, the other alternative, of course, so we can go here into the output. There are several things to take into consideration here. In the output, we're going to be looking at your bit rate that you're going to choose. And of course, we're going to be looking at your actual encoder settings. Now, most of you will be on simple mode to begin with, that of which is only going to give you the option for software and hardware NV for the encoder. The encoder is very important because depending upon your computer and how old it is and what it can handle is going to determine what encoder is the best option for you. Now, selecting the software X264 means that it is going to be using your computer's processor to actually generate that image for your stream and send the image to either the platform that you're using or your PC if you're just recording the actual video. Now with that, you do want to make sure that if you are going to use software, you are either using a dual PC setup or you have a very good processor to handle both the game as well as the actual recording or stream, especially if you're using a single PC setup. On the other hand, you have the hardware NVENC. Now this option right here is the older version. That is why you saw me to begin with on the advanced settings. Under the advanced settings in the streaming option, under encoder, you have the NVIDIA NVENC H.264 new. That is specifically designed for the newer NVIDIA cards like the RTX series, even the new RTX 3000 series that are coming out soon. Who's excited for that? I know. But also even some of the older cards, like for instance the GTX 1660. It's still a newer card. It still has the technology built in. Basically what it is NVIDIA has incorporated a chip into the graphics cards specifically to do the streaming for you. It will do all the encoding that you need so that it doesn't take away from your overall gameplay experience or the frames that you have in game. If you were to select the alternative option in the simple settings where you're just using the NVENC, that means you are dividing a portion of your graphics card for your game and a portion of it for the stream. Therefore, you will see a significant reduction in your overall frames for the game, as well as a high fluctuation on your actual output for frames in OBS. That's a big thing to definitely keep an eye on. Now, moving on, of course, assuming that we are good to go and we have the NVIDIA NVENC new on, if you have a newer NVIDIA graphics card, sorry, of course, AMD folks, if you have an AMD graphics card, that's not an option for you. Now, moving over to, of course, the recording option, we are currently still under the advanced setting. You do want to make sure that you select how you wish the file format to go. It's very self-explanatory. You're going to select where you want the recordings to go, what type of recording, the format, which tracks that you want it to keep an eye on, everything. And then once you have your output selected, the next thing is, of course, if you wish to choose an alternate video. Again, as mentioned, your video output is determined by OBS Studio. As soon as you download it and run the systems check, it is going to tell you what it should be set at. It will automatically do that. Mine as of currently is at 1920 by 1080 with 60 frames per second because my computer can handle it. Not everyone's can, and that's absolutely fine. The greatest thing to keep in mind when it comes to FPS is that we would be streaming at 60 FPS per second. This option right down here for the 24 NTSC is a great thing to keep in mind, because even if you have to stream at 30 frames per second, which some people do, a high definition Blu-ray movie is filmed at 24 frames per second to provide you that amazing high def quality video. So if you have to do 30 frames per second, that's perfectly fine. Definitely do not stress your computer for more than what it can do. That obviously would not be a good idea for yourself, as you can potentially create very bad content because the quality is so poor that your audience that you're attempting to bring your creativity to wouldn't even have the opportunity to watch it. Now, once of course you have that selected, you are at that point ready to go. You would still go through here if you have a starting window that you of course would like to create, whether it be a nice slideshow, a layout of images that says, you know, stream starting soon, or hey, I'm live, get your ass over here, anything among those lines. Now, in regards to that, clicking these options will switch you back and forth to these scenes. There's also the option under settings for hotkeys. Absolutely a great option to have. There's a transition section down here for all of these, and of course the big one is going to be the switch to scene, switch to scene, switch to scene. They are very, very beneficial, especially considering you can simply go in here and we can just switch to scene. This is for the ending. We're going to do number 3 on the keypad. Live, we're going to do number 2. And then, of course, starting, we're going to do number 1. We're going to go ahead and hit apply and go back here. So we're going to hit 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. It works perfectly, ladies and gentlemen. Now, with of course having this done, as I'm getting these amazing emails, let's go ahead and take a quick peek here. At this point in time, you are ready to go. One last thing I want to touch bases on, as you guys heard me discuss earlier, we are currently doing this under display capture. Just for those of you that have not used it, we're going to give you a quick look at for game capture. Now, once you add game capture, this is why a lot of people like to use it. Not only, again, do you get higher FPS in game while using this to stream your content, but it allows you to select a specific window, and it will go based off of what windows you have open. So you can easily go through here and select the option for what's available, and it will only display that image. Now, if you are one that is really wanting to show your creativity to the world, and you want to make sure that you're including your beautiful face, very easy process, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to go to add, and from here, you're going to add a video capture device. Now, with adding a video capture device, as mentioned, you're going to label this any way you want. And for instance, like most of us, we're using either a Logitech or a Sony, or even for instance a Canon DSLR for our webcam. It would be ideal to make sure that you name it as such. Once you go through and add it, it's going to give you the option to select the camera, as of course shown there, for the stream. Once of course you select the camera, you can then position it anywhere you want on the screen. And at that point, ladies and gentlemen, if you're one that really wants to shine with your content and make sure you're including yourself, that'd be the last step you need so that you're good to go to bring that content to life. So I do want to thank you guys very much for hanging out with me, exploring the basics of OBS Studio. If you have more questions, please feel free to comment down below. I'll be seeing you guys, of course, live as always, as I do stream on Twitch every Friday through Tuesday. In most cases, they are definitely some later in the evening streams or mid-afternoon. So make sure, of course, you guys click that link in the description below if you want to come in and ask questions, or if you just want to hang out and say hi. Otherwise, as always, please feel free to click that subscribe button and make sure those notification bells are on. We are just now diving into these tutorials to make sure they are out there and available for everyone. So I want to thank you guys very much again for hanging out, enjoying the video. I'll see you guys next time with the next video, and of course the next dive into OBS Studio.